Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Game Vault podcast stream. I'm your host, Mark, and we're here at the News Hour on this Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Happy Silksong week. I hope everybody out there has had a good weekend, a good week. Start of fall. We had what should be our final really hot days here. Maybe there'll some pop up here and there, but looks like it's going to be 70s the rest of the week. We're getting really close to hoodie season. Hell yeah. Can't wait for that. And the video games are starting to come out. And so we'll just jump in right into what I've been playing. And as I mentioned multiple times on this podcast, there will be a game every year that'll come out that will find its way possibly into my top three. It's not going to probably win my game of the year, but it's gonna get closer than Death Stranding 2 is. And it's usually a game that I don't think I'm going to play, and then I end up playing just because it's in the zeitgeist and it was priced pretty cheaply. So for me, that game is I've been playing Hollow Knight Silksong for the better part of this weekend. It's a $20 price tag with the game being in the zeitgeist. If you can afford it, it's worth it, especially if you want to get it on Steam or Switch 2. Tom, I would recommend it for Switch 2 if you like Metroidvanias. It is a great game at a great price of $20. So it is perfect for that. So, So just to start off, I don't know if I guess there's kind of spoilers, but not. I haven't absorbed enough of the story, nor did I play original Hollow Knight. So there might be things I'm missing that other people are picking up on. But so far, the thing I didn't know about Hollow Knight, and this is just ignorance on my part, because I didn't really play the game nor look into it or anything when it came out 6-7 years ago, whatever it was at this point. But it has some like Dark Soul tendrils in it, in that when you die, all of your this might be new to Silksong too, so correct me if I'm wrong. But when you die, your shit gets wrapped up in a cocoon that you have to go back and get, or you lose it forever. And there are also benches which sort of act like bonfires. It's probably very much like a Souls-like, but I don't want to say that without knowing for sure. It feels very 2D Souls-like. But there's also the Metroidvania aspect, where you go back after you get things to get to other areas. So I am working on that. Now, as I've gotten through, I'm in my 5th area of Act 1. I didn't play Hollow Knight. So, Tom, I don't think you need to. It does a good job tutorializing some things up front for you. There might be little things or little gameplay tricks that if you played the first one, you would need it. But it seems like you're in a completely different location. Yeah, I'm having a ton of fun with it. Bosses are hard. People are saying it's harder than Hollow Knight. I didn't play Hollow Knight, so I have no comparison. I'm eager to see how far I go in this, because with normal Souls-like games, I get to a certain point, and then the difficulty just gets too high for me, and then I check out. Um, but so far so good. I've beaten 6 bosses. Let's see, I'm thinking 6 named bosses. I think 4, 5, maybe 5. It's either 5 or 6. What? So there's a very frustrating part because of the way the game works with the Souls-like element of when you die, your souls hang out somewhere else and you got to go get them. And the things you lose, your souls, are the currency you need. So there's this one character that sells you maps of the area. And I like to get the maps. You also get to buy a compass, which tells you where you are so you can kind of fill in the map. So I found this person after dying further down the thing. And the way this thing was set up is that once you jumped off this one ledge, you were locked into that area. Unless you died and went back to a bench. So I couldn't buy the map, so I had to finish the quest for the one person, get all the stuff, and then be able to get to the shortcut to get back to where the map person was. On the way, I fought a boss that wasn't there originally, that was there on my way back. And I beat that boss. And then when I got back to where the map person was gone. She leaves periodically. I don't know what the trigger is for it, but she was gone. And I couldn't buy the map for the area. So I couldn't check if I went through everywhere. So I pushed forward, finished everything, got to the next area, which thankfully, after a little exploring, I found the map person again, but this was like an hour later. So I found her, I bought all the maps, and now I'm good. But it was just a little frustrating. And probably bad exploring on my part. That's the thing about this game and a lot of Dark Souls games in general, or Soulsborne, is that 99% of the time, the reason for your death or the reason you're in a situation is because of your own fault or your own choices. Like, there's no, game tricks you or anything like that. I mean, there's a thing going around of a trick they have in the game that I'm upset that I saw. But that's why I say 99%. So I was more upset at myself that I didn't explore for the map person further before delving deeper into the map. The good thing about it is there's no actual, main path. For the most part, you have a lot of paths to go around. You'll eventually be gated off of places you can't go, or if you have to go somewhere else to get something to continue, like long jump and things like that. But yeah, you can just explore how you want, and when you get the map with the compass, you can figure out where you've been and all that. There's only one area early on that I can't figure out how to get to because I'm pretty sure I might look up where the thing is I have to get just to make sure I'm not just running around in circles. We did that in a game I'll talk about later in Trails in the Sky, second chapter. But yeah, it's a really fun game so far. I can see what the hype was about from Hollow Knight. I'm curious to see what people who put a lot of hours into Hollow Knight think of Silksong, because it could be the chance where it's exactly the same, and that could be a good or bad thing depending on who you talk to. So, but like I said, so far through 6.5 hours, we are pretty much, it's definitely in my top 5 right now. It would have to fall off substantially to not be in my top 5 going forward. Yeah, so we're going to be talking a lot of Silksong. I did not want to play it on stream, I was thinking of doing a hasty glance. I may still do one now that I'm a little more versed in it to just show it off for you guys. Or I might do it. Here's the thing. Um, I'll leave this up to Tom if he's still here, or he can message me in our pre-planning thing. I don't know if I should do a hasty glance now. Well, I don't know if we'll get the viewers or whatever. But or wait till game of the year time when I'm playing all the games that I have in my top 5, whether I stream them here or not. But yeah, I'm still deciding. I got to figure out a day this week to do it because bowling is starting back up on Tuesday, so my Tuesday nights are gone. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking as well. And also, I think if I couldn't get to it this week, there's no point. Like, I have, something on Wednesday. We have your thing on Thursday. It would be Friday, and it's just, I should have did it last Friday if I was going to do a hasty glance, at some point. But anyway, I will show you on stream, you know, the game, so you guys know. I'll just start a new game. Whether I beat it or not, I'll just start a new game from the beginning. But yeah, so really, really good. It's $20. We have stories coming up about it. I think I got 3 or 4 stories because it's been the main thing in the news cycle. There's been 2 things in the news cycle personally, one for me, and then Silksong. So we'll talk about that in the news. Moving on, other games. In terms of what I've been streaming, so Mega Man 3, we started that. It took me a little while to get used to the slide and when to time that. I think I'm getting pretty good at it now. And I think we shouldn't have that much of hard of a time going forward. But Proto Man did take me a while because I had to figure out the slide to be able to beat him when he shows up randomly. So we got 3 bosses in, I believe. Or it might have been 2, and we're at the 3rd one. Either way, having a lot of fun with that game. Still like 2 a lot better. The slide is great. And I think the gimmick in 4 is you get the powered up regular shot. So we'll see when we get there how much that improves. But 2 and 3 are the ones that are usually universal as the best Mega Man games. And I am enjoying 3. It's slightly harder than 2. They went back to some of the Mega Man 1 stuff that wasn't really in Mega Man 2 too much. I think 2 of the levels for sure had what's it called? Disappearing block puzzles. So we were definitely doing that. And what else? Yeah, and some of the bosses, I had to brute force some of them. Not brute force in a bad way, but sort of like I was staying back and being a little conservative when you had to just get in there, shoot, slide, shoot, slide. Be a little more aggressive with it. So we got to a good point on there. Sorry, Game Ball Cat trying to join the broadcast. So yeah, I'm excited. We won't be playing that on Monday. Our game club game is this Monday. Tom will be playing Star Fox for the Super Nintendo. So hopefully you've listened to Podcast Prime that came out on Wednesday and heard that as our new game. So I'll have to wait another week for that. But I am excited to get back into it. I'm hoping to finish all 6 of them by the end of the year. That'd be a good accomplishment. I might make a long run for one of my Extra Life things in November, too. We'll do that. And then, we'll see where we're at. And then Trails in Sky, 2nd chapter. We played about 3 hours or so last night. Or Saturday night for those of you listening on Monday. We got a pretty good twist that I sort of saw coming, but I didn't completely see coming. I was slightly wrong about it, but I was sort of in the ballpark of what happened, the twist. So it's a really good one. Like, it's not a bad one. And it brings more intrigue to the story. Like, I'm more invested in the story after what we just did on Saturday. We were doing this searching for someone puzzle, and there was a what's it called, like a riddle, and I knew what the riddle meant, but I didn't know, like, I knew where some of the stuff was. Hey goat, how you doing? So I knew where, but I forgot about the one place that was like out of the way, tucked in a corner. And thankfully we looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, that thing. After running around in circles for 5 minutes. So, Chosen Sky second chapter. I'm on the fence after playing first chapter, the demo for the remake. Which combat I like better? I think there's more of a chance for failure in first chapter's combat than in second chapter. And I don't know if that's just because of how leveled up my characters are. But just the way, like, the couple of mini bosses that I fought in first chapter just felt unfair compared to the bosses I fought in second chapter. We had a back-to-back boss fight where I actually used items and almost lost all of them. Well, technically 3 fights back-to-back before I could heal. And we got through it. We slow played it because I remembered from last game, when we played first chapter. Ooh, nice news there, Goat. Goat's going to be streaming on the 18th. If you guys are interested, we'll keep you updated on here. Obviously, Goat is a friend of the podcast, so we will promote him anywhere. So be on the lookout for that. Ye old Goat on there. But yeah, essentially, it'll be Farm Sim 25 if you can't read that right there. It's probably the white probably kills it. But yeah, the boss fights were great. I remember the thing from the end of the first game when we played, and I used that, and I slow played the fight and didn't try to be too aggressive, and I healed and supported and did all that stuff and used my crafts and got through it. And literally the last thing I did was I did basically a fuck it YOLO thing. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this here, and hopefully we don't die after this. But I took the crafts, and you can do S crafts up to 2 people with you. And so I grabbed 2 people that were right next to the boss, and I had all 3 of us hit them, and it ended up being the final blow. So we were able to take them out. And I like where the story's going. There was some intrigue at the end of the thing. So I am excited to get back to that on Saturday. Yeah. And the other things I played, I played no NCAA this week, I don't think. Trying to think. Maybe on Monday? Not entirely sure. I know I won my second national championship with Tulane. Roll Wave. And we're, starting to become a dominant team. So I think that happened since the podcast. So yeah, I had a little bit of played, but the main thing I played mostly, and I actually have an update and thought on this. So if you've been following along, I've been playing NHL 25, and it's probably an exploit, but I figured out something with defensemen in the game in terms of one-timers. Where if you set them up well enough, you can, and you're pretty good at the aiming part, you can get a goal almost, unless if the shot gets blocked, like 80% of the time. So I had this one defenseman who was just going bonkers because he's first pair defenseman, so he's got like our best players. His partner is probably our best defenseman. And he's got the three best forwards on our team out there with him 90% of the time. So he's just racking up goals and points. So my complaint is they never make a big deal about things in these games when you break records and stuff like that. Now, I didn't have the volume up when we broke. Well, no, I mean technically we broke the goals record here, but they didn't mention it. Like when I got to 90 or anything. But when I hit 100, I scored 100 goals with this guy, and season's not over yet. But when we scored 100, I took a video of it and or saved the video of it, and the announcer when it scored like went nuts. He was like, he scored goal 100, like just made a big point of it, went nuts for it. It's the most excited I've seen them for something in these games. And then when it went to the color commentator, she started talking about it and was like, hey, 100 goals, when someone, you get to 70, then you get to 80, and you're just like, I can't get to it. And then you get to 90, and you're like, maybe I can get to 100. And then you do it, and it's just like, it's actual commentating talking about it. And it's something I'd wanted from these games for a long, long time. And I don't know if NCAA, because I mostly play these games kind of on mute because the announcing is shit for the most part. But having this saved to the video was really, really cool. So, yeah, so guy, I think he's like 103 goals now. My next thing is to see if they do anything when he crosses 200 points, which I should get pretty soon. So we're checking that out. And then next week, I'll be talking about, I downloaded the demo for 26. I downloaded the free trial for Madden 26, and I might check those both out and give a report on Sunday on it. And then, yeah, I would never stream the hockey or anything just because the way I play those games isn't conducive to streaming. To be 100% honest with you, I would love to. I'm still on the fence about. Friday Night Lights was canceled this Friday just because I got home after things to do and just passed out, essentially. So that's why that didn't happen. But also, I'm like, I don't know. It's not. I'm not really. I don't go nuts, and I don't make it entertaining for you guys in that aspect for sports. But I don't know. We're still playing it by ear. If I'm going to continue with that, but I will have a report on it on Sunday. So yeah, I think that's all I've been playing. Been playing a bunch, like I said. It's that time of the year, so things are going to start coming up. And then I saw that 2 new states got released. Maybe it's not recent, but I think Missouri and Arkansas. I don't think my Steam is open to. Let's see, will my Steam pop up? Let's see. Is this? So yeah, so Missouri and Iowa have released for American Truck Simulator. So I'm gonna be buying those, and maybe playing them. But I've been just buying them and I haven't played that game in a few months. So we have like half the country in and never done anything with it. So yeah. So let's move on to the news. Let me get it up here. Like I said, very heavy Silksong news here. So be aware. And I just want to make sure that we are good. And we'll go over. There we go. First up, Hollow Knight. Silksong shoots up Steam's most played games chart hours after launch with huge concurrent player numbers as storefront issues ease. So it crashed Steam for a little bit. That's how popular it was. So story from IGN here says Hollow Knight Silksong is already a huge hit on Steam, despite causing Valve's storefront to crash, posting massive concurrent player numbers. At the time of this article's publication, and I believe these numbers have gone up, And as those storefront problems ease, Silksong was on a huge 453,993 concurrent players on Steam, making it the third most played game on Valve's platform behind only Counter-Strike and Dota 2. This number is set to rise too as more people download the game ahead of its first weekend on sale. The question is just how big. It is already the 29th most played game on Steam of all time, with the likes of Helldivers 2 in its sights. And of course, Silksong's true player count will be much bigger across all platforms. Neither Sony, Nintendo, nor Microsoft make player numbers public, but Silksong crashed those storefronts too, so it will be massive everywhere. And let's remember, Silksong is a day one Game Pass title. This one's enormous, perhaps even the biggest indie launch of all time. And like I said, it's worth it. It is one of those things that so far, at least for me, is living up to the hype. I've had so much fun with it. I'm on the fence on if I'm going to play it after this stream, or if I'm just going to wind down watching a YouTube video or something before going to bed. But this game is really, really, really good. And the numbers bear it out. The $20 price tag. It's just insane. As Goat says in the chat here, a friend of mine took 2 hours for his payment to go through for Silksong. This game is massive. All year we've been saying Expedition 33 Game of the Year. I think Silksong has a very, very, very good chance at beating Expedition 33. Not on my list, but the way this is just taken over gaming, it's like from what I've seen in social media and everywhere, Silksong is essentially the K-pop Demon Hunters of video games. In terms of all of a sudden out of nowhere, everyone is talking about this game. Even people you didn't think played video games or Hollow Knight. It has been a hell of a release, and that $20 price tag was great for us, but indie developers not liking it so much. Indie developers are worried Silksong's $20 price tag will make it harder to price their games. Again, from IGN, with Hollow Knight Silksong out now, many players are celebrating its unexpectedly low $20 price tag, but some independent developers are pointing out that as great as that might be, it could lead to unreasonable expectations for other indie games that can't afford to sell for that low. This comes from a number of threads on social media from developers of games such as Unbeatable, Dorframic, and others. In one Blue Sky thread, Unbeatable director RJ Lake says that Silksong should cost $40, and I'm not even joking. But Lake isn't upset at Team Cherry charging for $20. That's their prerogative, but it will have an impact on gaming audiences, and Lake explains. Millions of people will probably buy Silksong on day one, and it was a game that had a very low budget because the budget is the devs worked on it without direct pay for however long they wanted to do that. Lake writes, it had these devs are independently wealthy budget of effectively $0. They can price however low they want. As a result, the return on investment is infinite no matter what they do. But by charging such a low amount, they are causing lizard brain signals to fire off saying, this kind of game is worth $20. You should expect this game for $20. If enough of the lizard brain signal fire, some kinds of games with actual budgets to pay people who need to live are going to get priced out of existence until they can get the kind of organic groundswell you can't plan for. A lot of other indie devs think Lake might have a point here, including folks from Deck 13 and Red Squirrel Games. Over on Twitter, Basti Games, the developer of Lone Fungus, Melody of Spores, asked the audience how much Lone Fungus should cost, given that Silksong $20 price tag. Basti had originally been planning on making Lone Fungus $20 too, but because it's shorter than Silksong, should it be cheaper? Fortunately for Basti, the replies were overwhelmingly encouraged them to charge the $20 if that's what's required. Dude, charge $20, wrote one fan. Price is not about the game. Price is not about the game, it's about context. They are able to price $20 for a bigger game because they esteem to receive millions times the cost. God, people can't write anymore. You're a small company. Dude, charge $20. You deserve this. So basically, this whole thing here is not, it's like, it's more concern and worry, and people are happy. Like, it's such a weird thing because they're like, hey, they can charge whatever the hell they want. That's the advantage they have, being independent and the success of the first game. But, dude, some games may be shorter, as the Deck 13 guy mentioned, or may not be as polished as Silksong. Now, they may be good and not glitchy or anything. When I mean polished is, Silksong looks gorgeous. They may need to charge $25-$30 for the game, and people are going to be, they're worried that some people, and there will be some people, but they're worrying that it's the vast majority of people would be like, well, look, Silksong was $20, and that's a 30-something hour game, or whatever it turns out to be. I'm not paying $20 for your 10-hour game. It's dollars to hours, determining a game is bonkers to me. I always think pricing should be based on, what they need to charge, because games aren't made for free. So if you need to sell at a price point to pay your developers, to pay the publisher, to pay marketing or whatever, do it. Just don't go outlandish and do like $90 or $100. But yeah, it's a crazy controversy, but it's great that Silksong's $20, and as again, I think you all should play it. All right, next up, more Silksong. Criticism isn't hate. Hollow Knight Silksong sparks debate about difficulty, runbacks, and the dreaded get good comments. Again, from IGN. With Hollow Knight Silksong's huge launch in full swing, community debate about its qualities and flaws has gone back and forth, with some players insisting their criticisms about things like the game's difficulty are valid and shouldn't be instantly dismissed as hate. Silksong launched over 6 years ago. Silksong launched over 6 years ago. Over 6 years after it was announced, amid huge excitement, and early indications are that it's a critical and commercial success. At the time of this article's publication, the Steam concurrent players count was over 500,000, with English language users reviews sat on a very positive rating. However, as more players work their way through the game, some are expressing criticism across social media, subreddits, Discord, and Steam reviews. Most of the criticism revolves around Silksong's difficulty scaling, which causing players problems and brutal runbacks. There's even one very early mini-boss causing a lot of players a whole heap of trouble. I didn't pull that story because I didn't want to spoil anything for myself, but I think I know the boss they're talking about because I had issues with him. On Reddit, user Machiato says, is it just me, or are some of the things that make Silksong difficult just cruel? A post on Steam says, the game has artificially inflated difficulty and playtime due to overturned numbers and menial task runbacks. It's the reaction to these sort of criticisms that has sparked debate within the gaming community. Take that Steam post, for example. Maybe you just got older and your skills have declined is the first response. And just one more quote here. It's okay that Silksong is hard. Redditor Jacked Demamp said, it's already getting old seeing that every other post online about this game is someone complaining about the difficulty, especially when there are so many incredible things to talk about, like the new quest system and the new mechanics. So this is a debate that I've had, and I've had discussions with Jonathan about this. Essentially, because both of us love Dark Souls games. He's a lot better at them than I am, by a mile. Um, and we fall, I believe, on the same camp in terms of it's there's a fine line between two things can be true. The get good people can go suck a bag of dicks, because that shouldn't be your response to somebody saying, "Hey, this game's really difficult for me. I don't like that. I really like the game, but it's getting really difficult." Your response should, in my opinion, should never be get good. It's going, "Oh, so what issues are you having? Is it that the difficulty spiked up with the bosses, or did you not take the time to learn the mechanics early on because the earlier bosses were a lot easier for you? Like, why are you saying that the game is difficult for you?" And if somebody doesn't want that help or constructive feedback, then that's on them. I think I am an opponent of having difficulty settings for the most part, for single player games, just for the sheer fact that I was a 40-year-old man, with a full-time job and technically 2 jobs. I don't have a lot of time to play. Despite Death Stranding and the other games I talk about on here, I don't have a lot of time to play a game just because to play a game for a long time that the only reason it's taking a long time is because it's too hard, or that it's difficult, or it's a tough game, or anything. I don't have the time in my life for that, which is why I usually fall off a lot of Soulsborne games. Love them, love the difficulty, love that, but there's a point because I can't fight this boss for another hour and a half. Does it feel great when I beat a boss after fighting them for that long? Yeah, sure, absolutely, 100%. But I don't have time to be playing for 3 to 4 hours in my free time. Not even like streaming for you guys or anything else I'm doing, just to fight the same boss over and over again. That might be a me thing, maybe, but that's where I fall on it. Like, I respect the difficulty. Like, I would never complain, like it seems some people are complaining on Reddit and social media about difficulty for a game that does not have difficulty settings. A lot of these games, Metroidvanias, you just gotta kind of maybe grind. Maybe it's what Soulsborne stuff does too. Is sometimes you just gotta grind, to get better, to get yourself over leveled, so that you can walk through the game. Sometimes you just have to do that, if you want. But yeah, I respect the difficulty of these games, but that's why I bounce off them, and I don't have any ill will towards the game at all. I understand it, and then if a game, I will say this: there are certain games where it is frustrating that the game was that hard. But when games are as good as Hollow Knight, I didn't play Hollow Knight, but as good as that game, as good as Silksong, as good as Dark Souls, as good as Bloodborne, as good as Elden Ring, and so on. When the games are as good as those games, and they have no difficulty setting, then I can respect going, it's just not for me. I love the game, I love the atmosphere, I love the gameplay, everything about it, but I just can't sit here and do what I have to do to allow me to beat the game. And that's okay. I will watch other people beat the game that are much better at it than me, like Jonathan. But, there are games like a lot of run-based games, like Hades. It's just, you do run after run after run and just get better, and then eventually you get through it. And the great thing about the difference between Dark Souls and Hades is that a Hades run is under 30 minutes. And then you go back and go, okay, I got stuff, I can level up, I can go back in. Another half hour. Got stuff, level up, go back. The problem with some of the Dark Souls in these games is that all that backtracking can be an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, just grinding things, and then you go in and you still get your ass kicked. Um, yeah, yeah. So I understand where they're coming from here. I haven't run into any trouble with Silksong. I probably will run into problems with it, but I think it's just not all games need to be completed by everyone. That might be a little harsh to say, but it's not about get good or play easier games, or you should only play on easy mode. I played, yeah, like Goat says, he grinds Diablo 4 because he loves that game, and will do that grinding, and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of like, I had a point I was running on. Essentially, you know, it just comes down to essentially. And hi, Night Duck. Yeah, and Elden Ring has a much higher percentage beating the game's final boss. Yeah, yeah, because people don't generally. Yeah, I'm completely fine. I never complain. About things. I think certain games are meant to just have one difficulty, and you go through it, and figure it out if it's for you. You know, it's fine. Not every game needs to be beaten by everyone. Um, so yeah. This is a great conversation. It's something, we might disagree on different aspects of certain things, but I think we all agree. If you want to put difficulty settings in your game, great. I will probably most likely play some of them on easy. I played Expedition 33 on normal, and had a ton of fun. I play the Persona games on normal. And have a ton of fun with those. I don't play them on easy. But if you give me a game like, I forget what game I was playing, that I just put it on easy just because I wanted to get through the story. I didn't care. I think it might have been... It's going to sound real dumb, the game I did it for. I believe it was Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I just put that on easy because I'm like, I don't fucking care how difficult this game is. I just want to see the story. And I got through it. So is that our Silksong moment? Nope. Got one more Silksong story. And it's the fun one. Silksong players really want to pet the dog. I mean the Bell Beast. And I only pulled this because I agree with them. Jump into it, Night Duck says, because I do want to comment on that. He says, also, I bet a large part of the people complaining about Silksong's difficulty are people who don't like 2D platformers that are playing it because it's the game of the moment. And I 100% agree with that. A lot of complaining when games come out like this. Elden Ring had it because it was the game of the moment. Silksong is game of the moment. It's people that don't usually play these games that are complaining about the difficulty. And it's people that are used to games that have difficulty situations. The only thing I care about in game is there should be. I don't know if Silksong has this. It might not, but I think most games should have some kind of accessibility options. Now, what I mean accessibility options is if there's a part of the game where you have to tap the button real fast, make it a hold for some people. Colorblind modes, stuff like that, in there. And he brings up blueprints, which I have not played yet, but yes, 100% yes, Night Duck. Same thing. It's just, it is what it is. I just think people like to complain and are just so used to getting their way sometimes and me stuff sometimes that it's just, they want to be able to talk about the thing. It's FOMO. It's FOMO in video game form. And as Night Duck completely agrees and says it a lot better than I did, accessibility is different and very important. And I 100% wholeheartedly agree with that. Back to, God, I really want to pet the Bell Beast. Guys, can they just let me pet the Bell Beast? That's all I want to do. I was really upset when I had to fight him. Spoilers. But yeah, he's a good little doggy. Moving on to another game, another important announcement that was close to my heart. 007 First Light, everything announced at the State of Play. Here, I'm just going to scroll through this real fast. First Light will release on March 27th, 2026 for PlayStation 5, which is where I'm getting it, Xbox Series X, Switch, and PC. The only reason I wouldn't get it for PC is I do not want to sit here for as long. I'd rather chill on my couch. I got to get a Steam Deck or something at some point to be able to do it to play from my couch. So yeah, I'm very excited. March is going to be great in terms of this and having Resident Evil right before it. So Q4 is starting up really well. And the other thing is they confirmed that Patrick Gibson is playing James Bond. After much speculation, Dexter Original Sin actor Patrick Gibson has finally confirmed that he is playing James Bond in IO's 007 First Light. The star of the next James Bond video game made a surprise appearance during today's State of Play to confirm his role, while also sharing details about some of the other faces fans will run into. This includes the news that Lenny James is playing Greenway. Prayanga. Buford is playing M. Alistair Mackenzie is playing Q. Keira Lester is playing Moneypenny. And Noemi Nakai is playing Ms. Roth. So, looking forward to seeing how that cast performs in this game. Pre-orders are available. You get exclusive outfits. You get a pack in there. You get a new weapon skin. And you get access 24 hours early. Pre-order bonus, not great. I don't know if there's a collector's edition that I would even consider buying here, but yeah. And the collector's edition, just to say, I don't know if it says it here. I forgot if there was anything different in the collector's edition. So 007 is basically going after 009 in this game, which is, it's always interesting when they're going after current or former spies, just like Janice in GoldenEye. You'll be driving in this game, which is, of course, driving some Aston Martins and stuff. You have a license to kill, of course. IO's Hitman series is known for allowing players to get creative with their kills, but James Bond isn't always so subtle. While 007's iconic gadgets can come in handy during stealth sections, players may be granted a license to kill when the jig is up. So that'll be pretty fun to have that pop up on screen, and then you're able to just start shooting. So, yeah. Yeah, so I am very, very excited about 007. Yeah. Yeah, I am in on this as much as going to the conversations happening in the chat. I understand the FOMO and wanting to watch people, but I'm in on this. I don't care. Silksong very much. Yeah, and Goat played Expedition 33 because he watched me play it, and that's a pretty good example of, doing that. If you're recommended for Silksong, Kyle Bozeman's stream's pretty good that I've watched so far. I'm waiting to see if Jess Capricorn, who's a huge Hollow Knight person. Yeah, 007 looks great. It looks very Hitman-y a little bit, and I love Hitman. So I am excited for it. Next up, Tom, this is for you. Tetsuya Nomura offers promising update on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 and Kingdom Hearts 4. Again, from IGN. Director Tetsuya Nomura has heard the cries for updates on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 and Kingdom Hearts 4, and he's happy to report that development is progressing really smoothly. It is largely inconsequential, but still welcome update for two of Square Enix's most anticipated games that arrived during the recent Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis second anniversary broadcast. As reported on and translated by Gemetsu, Nomura took the opportunity to address waves of comments from fans hoping to see the team make an announcement. Apparently, Toriyama mentioned in an interview that something might be released around the second anniversary of Ever Crisis. Nomura said when addressing comments specifically related to the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, so that's probably where those expectations are coming from. Right, so things are progressing really smoothly. I really can't say more. If I suddenly went, well, actually, everyone would be really surprised. Nomura goes so far as to say that release timing has already been decided, but stops short of clarifying when exactly Square Enix will share more. For now, he asks fans to be patient, adding that work on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is moving forward according to schedule. RPG fans have been on the hunt for news about the new entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series since its last installment, Rebirth, launched in early 2024. It looks like they said the goal is to have it by 2027. So we'll see. I think that is the 30th anniversary. Tom can correct me if I'm wrong. And development for Kingdom Hearts 4, meanwhile, was progressing in a similar positive direction. Nomura said, and this has also come up in the comments here and there, but Kingdom Hearts 4 is likewise steadily moving forward according to schedule. Yeah, so nice little update there for Tom. Yeah. And I agree with Night Duck. Yeah, no project Nomura has ever done has been on time nor running smoothly. So it's kind of like, okay, buddy. Sure, gotcha, running smoothly. But yeah, I very much believe I think they absolutely want Part 3 to come out in 2027 to be with the 30th anniversary. I 100% believe that is their goal. Will they hit it? Who knows? But I think that is 100% on the whiteboard. That is what they need to hit. Yeah, so, we'll be able to see if that occurs. I think Kingdom Hearts 4 could be closer to that 2030 joke that Tom made in the chat there. Probably like a 2028, 9, something like that game. My prediction will be, I think whichever game, I think one of these two games is going to show up at the Game Awards. I think it's going to be Part 3. And they're going to announce 2027. Now, could they do both? Sure. But I think my idea for the schedule here will be, just want to get my hands, move my mouse out of the way. We're going to get Game Awards announcement for Part 3. Then we'll get sometime either early spring or at, Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest E3 thing. We'll get Kingdom Hearts 4. And then at Gamescom, TGS, something, we'll get another update on Final Fantasy. And then I think the final trailer for, or what they would hope for, the final trailer for Final Fantasy will be at the next Game Awards. And then Kingdom Hearts 4, possibly June, depending on when Final Fantasy releases. They may just wait. Yeah, I think it's going to be split up. Like I just said, it's going to be split up amongst those things. And I think their plan is to release one in 27 and one in 28 or 29. Now, They could shock the hell out of everyone, and Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out next year. Who knows? But I highly, highly doubt that. But I'm thinking their plan is 2027 for Part 3, 28, 29 for Kingdom Hearts 4. Is the plan. I don't think they would. I don't think they would release them in the same year. I don't. It's zero, as even the 0% chance of 2026. 0% chance those games come out same year. It would be dumb to have Kingdom Hearts 4 come out first. Yeah, that's the one that's like, I feel like the plan all along for Final Fantasy VII Remake is for the final game to end in the 30th anniversary, and I think they're focused completely on doing that, and Kingdom Hearts is sort of in the back burner. That's my feeling on it. We'll see. We'll see if my predictions are right at the Game Awards. That's in a couple months here, so we'll check out on that. Another story. Perfect Dark was nearly saved by Take-Two, but the deal fell through. Just real quick, the initiative, the studio behind Perfect Dark, was shuttered earlier this year in mass Microsoft layoffs, with its project apparently canceled. However, Perfect Dark apparently remained in development at Crystal Dynamics until just last week, while the leadership from both studios struggled to find new funding from a surprising source in Take-Two. In a report from Bloomberg, which IGN corroborated with their own sources, revealed that Perfect Dark was not fully abandoned when the initiative shuttered earlier this year. Leadership of Crystal and the initiative spent the following 2 months looking for a new publisher and funding source. While multiple parties expressed interest, its most likely candidate turned out to be Take-Two. However, the two groups couldn't come to an agreement, at least in part due to long-term ownership of the property. So no surprise. That this deal fell apart over IP. While Microsoft is sort of like, yeah, we're not doing it. We're canceling it. We're closing the studio, whatever. Then another studio comes and say, hey, we'll pay money to release this game. We'll pay money to release this game, and essentially put it out there. But we want to have the IP going forward. And Microsoft goes, no, we're not going to do anything with it, but you're not getting the IP. We're just going to let it sit on the shelf here and do nothing with it. So I'm not surprised that's what happened. But the only thing that I took from this is slightly encouraging. Maybe I shouldn't take it as slightly encouraging. Is that it seems like a lot of these games, yeah, exactly. Microsoft is not going to give up the IP. And there's no reason for Take-Two to take the risk on this game without securing the IP. So it's never going to happen. Yeah, it's really dumb and stupid. But my positive thing I'm taking out of it is it seems like some of these studios that are getting shuttered, maybe they're looking for other funding for games. Maybe some of the stuff that got hurt in the layoffs here that may be further along in development might be able to get released. We might have an Acme versus Acme versus Coyote or whatever situation where something's completely done and another company just decides to buy it and release it. So who knows? That's the only positive I took out of this story and the main reason I put it up there. And also just to make fun of Microsoft for being like, no. We want to keep on to the IP even if we're not going to do anything with it. Moving on. Our next story here. This is for me. This is a personal story for me. Life is Strange TV series announced by Amazon with End of the Fucking World writer as showrunner. Amazon has greenlit the long-awaited Life is Strange TV adaptation after almost a decade after plans to adapt the game were first announced. Charlie Koval, writer of Channel 4's The End of the Fucking World and Netflix Chaos, I believe is how you say that, will head the series as executive producer and showrunner, reported by Variety, with video game publisher Square Enix and Amazon MGM Studios both on board. When A Life is Strange TV adaptation was first announced back in 2016, only the series' first game had been released, with the expectation being that it would adapt said game. And now, years later, this remains the case, with an official blurb for the show mentioning the franchise's most popular characters matching Chloe. Koval's adaptation will follow Max, a photography student who discovers she can rewind time while saving the life of her childhood best friend Chloe. As she struggles to understand this new skill, the pair will investigate the mysterious disappearance of a fellow student, uncovering a dark side to the town that will ultimately force them to make an impossible life or death choice that will impact them forever. Exactly how the TV adaptation will handle the game's choose-your-own-adventure storytelling is another matter. However, and it will certainly be interesting to see which of the two main endings the series will choose. They will choose Bay. I think I think letting Chloe die is the better option overall, because it honestly leads too much chaos in my mind if she lives, because the world will keep trying to kill her, or it should. And also, it becomes a little bit of a mental illness for Max um, if she's, you know, living this lie with this person that should be dead. So we'll see what they do. We'll see if they'll include double exposure. We'll see if they'll include true colors, because all those games are connected. Before the storm, those 4 games are all connected in some way. So we'll see what they'll do with any of that. But this is me. This is a Mark story. I don't normally pull these, but I needed to discuss this because I feel you have to go with the story where and I don't care spoiling this now. The choice where Chloe dies at the end. You have to do it. And I do apologize for any of our 10 listeners out there that may have never played this game, but it's well worth it. Besides that, I wrote a whole thing with a personal attachment to my choice and why I made that choice and all that. I believe it's on the main Damie's website. I gotta find it. Maybe I'll link it or something at some point down the line. But yeah, so that's a fun thing. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do this. Next up, for those that care, the Street Fighter movie cast was fully revealed. I was hoping there'd be a list here, but you can see it coming up here. So yeah, we got basically a lot of the people, got what's it called? Cody Rhodes playing Guile. I saw Eric Andre's in it. A bunch of, Jason Momoa as Blanca, 50 Cent as Barlog, Roman Reigns as Akuma. Some of these people we've seen revealed before, but yeah, so this cast is revealed. It'll be interesting to see, what this movie will be like. It can't be any better than any of the other, the great movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was clearly an American when he played Guile. All right, next up, Kojima set to offer glimpse at future projects during event celebrating 10 years of independence from Konami. Death Stranding creator Hideo Kojima has announced plans to celebrate the 10th anniversary of establishing his own studios, Kojima Productions, with an event in Tokyo later this month. Hosted by Kojima himself, the celebratory event, entitled Beyond the Strand, fucking Kojima, will include guest appearances as well as offer a glimpse into future projects. It will take place at Toho Cinema Roppongi Hills in Tokyo, Japan on September 23rd. Fans can enter a lottery to secure winning tickets for 7,700 yen, which is around $50. Or you can watch it online. Right now, it seems unlikely we'll see much of Kojima's mysterious upcoming PlayStation game Visit, as the developer recently told us the game remains as a conceptual stage. More likely, we'll get to know a little bit more about Kojima's horror project OD, which is still in development in collaboration with Microsoft, despite Xbox's recent cancellation of a number of projects, both internal and external. Kojima first announced OD in November 2022, and then officially revealed it at the Game Awards in 2023 with several of his cast members, and that filmmaker Jordan Peele was involved. So if I get the opportunity, I will try and watch this before the before the news hour of that week, because I am very interested to see what this is all about. And finally, Xbox Game Pass September wave lineup is here. I just wanted to mention this because there's a couple games on here, but yeah, so just to let you know, Xbox is still, or Microsoft itself, is still part of the BDS movement. So if you are following that boycott, you can, not, and do not have Game Pass because of it. This will not affect you, but yeah, I did want to mention it because if you are still doing Game Pass, Silksong is one of the games on Game Pass. It's on PC and console. I Am Your Beast. It's the other game. Then we have Cataclysmo, and Paw Patrol World, Roadcraft. So here it is, the Xbox Game Pass lineup. I Am Your Beast, 9 Souls, which I may have to look into. And then the things leaving on September 15th. All You Need Is Help, Wargrove 2, and We Love Katamari Reroll, plus Royal Revere. Yeah, so. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. Yeah, so if you still have Game Pass, that is what's going on. As stated, it is still part of the BDS boycott as well. Yeah, so that will do it for tonight's episode. Yeah, this has been fun, as always. Just some house cleaning stuff. We will have the Retro Roulette Club, Game Club game on tonight. If you're listening to this or watching the YouTube video, it'll be Star Fox for Super Nintendo. And then on Thursday, we'll be back with a pretty important episode of Final Fantasy VI, so be sure you are there to watch it. And then definitely Saturday, we'll be playing Trails in the Sky, second chapter. Sunday's up in the air as usual, probably this Sunday. And then Friday, I'm leaning Friday Night Lights, but we'll just see how the week goes. So just be on the lookout for that. Yeah. So thank you all for joining me. This has been one of our longer news hours. We crossed the hour mark this time. So, yeah, had a lot of good discussion, a lot of Silksong talk, a lot of talk about video games in general. So I really, really enjoyed it. So, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you Night Duck. Thank you Metal Militia. Thank you Goat. Be sure to mark on your calendars. Goat will be possibly streaming coming up on the 18th of September, playing some Farm Sim 25, so give him some love if he does go live. We'll be keeping you up to date on that. But for us, we will see you tonight with Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, and I will see you personally in a game I'm playing definitely on Saturday with Trails in the Sky second chapter. So thank you guys again, and we'll see you next time. Bye!